Today I'm going to talk about pre-competition anxiety and anxiety overall in athletes. For the record, anxiety is great for athletes because that's what's fueling athletes. To get rid of anxiety means to chop off your source of fueling, your superpower. Anxiety is an excess of psychological energy, of bodily energy that the person doesn't know how to utilize. That's why a lot of the times, if you go to a sports psychologist or a psychologist, first thing they try to do is to reduce anxiety. When it comes to athletes, that's wrong. You can't do that because the psyche knows the amount of energy that they're operating with. When it's starting to rise, you just need to know how to utilize it and direct it in a proper way. What sports psychologists and psychologists often do, or any therapist and sometimes even coaches, is they say, oh my gosh, poor thing, the anxiety is scaling up and we don't know what to do with it. Let's reduce anxiety. You can't do that because imagine you need 100 gallons to run a marathon, and then somebody comes in and says, we're going to reduce your tank to 50 gallons. Try running the same distance, not with 100 gallons, but with 50 gallons. That's what reducing anxiety means. Now, the bigger is the competition, the more important is the competition, the higher is the anxiety because you need to expand your tank. What that means, so for example, for you to run a 50-kilometer marathon with 50 liters of gas, it works. For you to run a 60-kilometer marathon means that now you need to use a 60-gallon. When the anxiety is rising, that means that your responsibilities are rising. That means that the need for more fuel is rising. If you're going to suppress it, the next level of your competition is never going to happen. I'll tell you what happened with me and my sports psychologist and the mistake that he made, even though he was the PhD, even though he followed the prescription that they teach in university to the T. He was an A student, did everything correctly the way they teach in the book. However, if the person has never been an athlete themselves, if the person has never been to the level of performance that you're trying to get, they will never get you there because we're only able to share what we know and what we do have ourselves. Essentially, it's a internal knowing. It's something that I've lived through and now I'm able to share it. For example, if you go to a sports psychologist that has only worked with national teams and has gone to international competitions, but has never been to a higher competition, whether it's the playoffs or the Olympics, the top qualification of the competition, they won't be able to get you there. What happened with me, I came to my sports psychologist and I said, hey, look, my anxiety is over the roof. I don't know what to do. Please help. The way sports psychologists usually work, they diagnose the illness and then they treat it without considering the whole system of the athlete. Before any diagnosis ever happens, there has to be a thorough study of who is in front of you. We can't treat one narrow minded, singled out problem because a lot of things can rest on it. It can be a pillar of the entire performance of the athlete. So we can't take something out and say, no, this is bad because the person is not able to handle it. No, you give the person additional tools to be able to handle it. What happened with me is that my sports psychologist reduced the level of my anxiety and I wasn't able to fuel my performance at the Olympics. It essentially, the mistake of the sports psychologist cost me my performance and my power resources during my competition. Whenever you're experiencing pre-competition anxiety, It's a signal to you that your body is reacting correctly to the outside environment. Let's say you've run a 20-kilometer marathon with 20 liters of gas. For you to be able to excel, that means you finished 10th in that marathon. For you with 10 liters of gas. For you to finish first, you might need 15 liters of gas. That means that your anxiety is leveling up. It's supplying additional fuel that you are experiencing as pressure, as anxiety. Now, to deal with anxiety in that sense, because it's uncomfortable, and if you're not able to utilize it and not able to measure it, you will collapse. So, one thing or the other is going to happen. Either you're going to freeze, or you're going to get sick, or you're going to get injured because the anxiety is processed by the body. What you do need, however, is to switch the anxiety to excitement. If the pressure, the psychological pressure that is experienced, like being jittery, being restless, having heart palpitations, being out of breath, being out of focus, that is the correct way for the body to react to additional demands. Because if you're not aiming to perform higher, so last time you finished 10th and now you want to finish first, you need additional resources, and the body is mobilizing itself to give you those additional resources to be able to finish first. If before you finish 10th and you've run it with 10 liters in your tank, that's just metaphorical. You've run it with 10 liters in your tank. Now, if you want to be first, you need additional resources. So the psyche is mobilizing and making it 15 liters. But your tank before could only accommodate 10 liters. It's uncomfortable for the psyche to jump to 15. And that's when you need to switch it to excitement. That's your additional tool where you're able to know and be confident that this state of your body, your psyche, your entire being is normal and your body is gearing up. Now, you need to be able to manage that, and you will have to say, okay, I am ready for 15 liters, so I can be first. Same thing when you're going for a competition that is higher than what it was before. So, for example, before you only went to National Cup, now you're going to the World Cup. Obviously, you need additional resources, and the anxiety is going up. To manage to expand your tank, it's one thing that the body is generating more energy for you to be able to attempt a new result, a higher result, a level up. The body is mobilizing to supply that level up, but you need to have the capacity to hold that much gas, to hold that much energy. When that happens, an additional tool can be additional knowledge, additional skill, bodily techniques that are being used for you to manage additional attention in your body. That pressure, the psyche is experiencing excitement and anxiety equally. It's the way you want to live in. Do you want to live in anxiety or do you want to live in excitement? To manage excitement, you need to be able to hold comfortably the amount of energy that's building up. Because, in a sense, the more you're able to accumulate, the easier is going for you to perform and get to the next level. When we're not able to get to the next level, we are going into the unknown because we don't have the experience of being on that level yet. We are trusting a lot of the environment around us and essentially are being vulnerable during the time we're trying to get to the next level. Holding yourself back sometimes can be beneficial if you're able to make yourself flexible. That a lot of tools for mental training. The pressure in the psyche, psychological pressure, which is what we're calling anxiety, has three outlets: through the body, through intellectual, through action. Now, if you're going to utilize the energy that the psyche is giving you, that you're experiencing like an anxiety, you're going to waste energy and you're going to exhaust yourself because the muscles are still working. You can go the intellectual part and try to predict it, try to calculate it. That is draining the pressure a bit. So, for example, your capacity now is at 12 liters, but you require 15, and the 15 are coming, but you're not able to handle 15 yet. You're only able to handle 12. So, you're draining the other three out of your system so the system doesn't explode. And that's when it feels like, oh my gosh, my anxiety is overcoming me or overflowing. When you're anxious, don't use the techniques to calm yourself down, because you're never going to get to the next level if you're not skilled in moving to the next, in expanding your capacity, in managing that pressure, in sustaining that pressure. That pressure, you have to come with that pressure, having everything you've got to that competition. If you're draining that energy along the way, like my sports psychologist did, you will fail. You won't have the energy to perform. That's why anxiety is your ally, it's your friend, it's your free bank. Your body is generating everything it needs to jump higher, to run faster, to push harder. All of that, the body is gearing up for it. Don't take away from it, because otherwise you won't have enough. Every time we're getting to the next level, we need additional resources to expand our capacity. For example, if you're not able to physically relax yourself, you go to a massage therapist and they relax your body, and you rely on them because you're letting them into your space to work as a support system towards the bigger system that you've got. If it's intellectual, you hire someone who is able to explain the processes that are happening with you biologically, psychologically, neurobiologically. If you're processing it, um, you're not able to entertain or you get your mind off of things, you go to a movie theater or you go and you play a different game that is different from your professional sport. So you're adding resources to your field to support the system. Don't ever try to minimize the pressure. Train yourself to live with that pressure, utilizing different tools, different supportive systems that can aid you to maintain that level of pressure and essentially expand it. The more you're able to hold in your tank, the more power you have, the better resources for recovery you've got, and your health is actually improving and getting stronger because it's able to get bigger, get more flexible, and achieve more, which promotes regeneration of your cells. It aids your whole body to evolve in a faster, more vigorous, and intentional way. I hope you enjoyed this information. If anyone told me that when I was in the situation of not knowing what anxiety is, how to use it, and I thought it's my enemy, that's why I came to somebody who also saw anxiety as enemy. And so they've done what they knew is how to reduce anxiety. What they didn't know, that they've taken my power away from me. And my mission today, and not only today, my whole mission around athletes now is to educate athletes on being an athlete, who they are, how they're able to read themselves, what are the misconceptions in the society, in the education, in the sports world. We don't want to reduce stress. We want you to be able to handle more stress. And stress is only your body and your psyche trying to get to the next level of evolution. And if we take away the pressure and the stress, we're never going to evolve. And then if we're not evolving, we're not regenerating ourselves, we're just scaling back. That makes us older, more susceptible to injury, and lowers our results. But I want you to excel and accelerate. And I'm happy to share my knowledge, my experience with you, because I've taken up this path to help the world of sports evolve in a more sustainable and healthy way. Thank you for your attention, and we'll talk next time.